Well, mate,
All right, mate.
just super chilling today.
Yeah,
Bit
man.
too relaxed for a podcast. If
Your
anybody's,
chair.
N-
I want that chair. Can you deliver
yeah,
that by Uber to me, please?
no, it allows me to get in touch with my wild side. Just the animalistic panther that is G Sandu.
Gorinda Sandhu. I don't think I've
Exactly.
called you Gorinda Sandhu in about 2 years.
I know there's too many. There's too many names.
Gorinda Sandhu.
Just my original name doesn't even mean anything anymore.
It really doesn't. I don't ever
It's
use
all
it. When
about.
someone's like, "Who's Gorinda Sandhu?" I'm like, "Who's that? What?"
I don't know. And you're like, oh, G
Oh,
Banger.
that dude.
Yeah. Exactly. What's been going on, Jude? What's been going on? How's the week
Jude,
been?
you just called me Jude. Had a really
I did.
busy.
That was unusual.
I'm quite scared. Just had a really busy week, really busy morning, but it's all good. Been running about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I was talking to my friend who does my Goldster class with me. He basically sets the class up and introduces me and lets me in, which is amazing, and it's so
Oh,
brilliant.
is he your very own personal Bruce Buffer? Hype
What's a
man.
Bruce Buffer?
Bruce Buffer, come on, the announcer for UFC. The
Oh
fight
yeah,
announcer. He's like,
he is.
it's time. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing
He
fighting out of the blue corner. Jude Jitsu. Is that how he introduces you? Please tell me that's what he does.
No, he doesn't. But he does it beautifully. And I actually told him to come and listen to this podcast. So hi, Dan, if you are listening. No, he introduces me and basically gets people into the class and explains what to do if you don't know what to do, i.e., put me on mute or put you on mute, whatever. And why am I mentioning this? So that's it. And we were just talking about how if we have a day off, we don't know what to do with ourselves. Do you know what I mean? It's like we'll go,
Right.
go.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you do have a day off, you're a bit like, what should I
Yeah.
be doing something? So yeah, I
Yeah.
spend a lot of my time rushing about. And like this morning, I taught Goldster and then I dropped Noah off and then I came back and then I just literally sat down 10 minutes ago and started to set up this. So yeah, you need to calm me
okay.
down, G. You need to calm me down.
No, I want some hectic
hype.
vibes.
You want some hype.
I want some
that.
hectic vibes today.
Because you're
No,
like
that's it.
that. Yeah, what's that?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just a bit laid back in my panther chair, in my jaguar chair, whatever. I don't know, leopard spots. That's it, leopards, right? Leopards have spots.
It's on point. In terms of fashion, it's on point.
It's fashion. It's
Fashion. It is.
yeah. I'm resonating hard. I'm just in my chill vibe animalistic modes right now.
Awesome.
Just like after I've eaten something, so I'm just relaxed.
Are you in panoramic vision, panoramic gaze, like chill vibes?
Yeah, just I don't know. I like we need to meet in the middle. Basically, is what needs to happen. It's like you need to. I'm gonna feed off some of your energy, and you're gonna feed off some of my energy, and then we're gonna be right in the middle.
Yeah.
So
and by the end of the podcast, we'll be right.
Yeah, exactly. And by then it's too late. But
And then it's done.
but okay, yeah, because you've touched on that before as well, which is when you don't have anything to do, you feel guilty about doing nothing, right?
Sure.
And since then, I think that's been several weeks, maybe even a month as well. Is there anything that you've kind of worked on to make it so that when you are not go, when you're not rushing, that you can actually just chill out?
I absolutely do. And it's been imperative that I have recently. For example, yesterday, I was incredibly tired and I had one 7 a.m. session, and then I dropped my son to school and I came back and I did nothing. And I did one little thing for Instagram, but then I did nothing. And I needed to. There was not even a thought in my mind of you've got to get up and do stuff. I mean, yeah, there's always stuff to do around the house that I have to get done. There's always washing to do, which is just you do that and then you come and sit back down. But I am a lot better at all that sort of stuff. And something that I have been doing every single night without fail, maybe when I've had like work at night, I haven't done it, is I journal in my gratitude journal and then I journal in my actual journal. and then I do either a bit of breath work or a bit of consciousness, which is where I sort of pull myself into the present and just look at what I'm doing, or just stay. And something I've been doing with my little boy as well is breathing. So it's almost like a bit of a ritual in that I do journaling, he does a bit of journaling, then I'll do a bit of consciousness, and then he'll come in and we'll do some breath work. And all of that is kind of, it's quite a nice downtime. Like I'm going to do a post on this, but my little boy, over the last year, his breathing has been off the chart erratic and just chest dysfunctional, like yawning a lot, just super stressed with everything that obviously with lockdown and everything else. And about a couple of months ago, it must have been, I was like, right, let's just get down, lie down on the bed, come just lie down. And at first he was like, I just couldn't sit still. And then I just put my hands on him, like I did lateral, so side rib area. And I just kept my hands there. And I was like, just breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your mouth. And it's quite meditative for me as well. I mean, it's what I do every day, but I've got another really nice story about this as well. And eventually he just started to calm down. You just see his whole body just drop down, and he stopped fidgeting, stopped moving, stopped sighing, and he just went into it. And we put some chill music on, and we do that every night. And he was mega stuck at first, all around his rib area, which is where the diaphragm, which is the main muscle in breathing, is attached to. So he was really, really stuck around there, and it really hurt when I first started to go in and release him. And now he just breathes beautifully. And it's kind of, it's something that he actually comes in and asks me. He's like, can we go and do the breathing now? It's like a little ritual that we have at night.
Love it.
It's great. And then he goes off and he does his affirmations. He goes and listens to affirmations on YouTube, and that's how he dials down into sleep. So
Legend.
He is a legend. He is an absolute legend. But so just to track back, that's why it's almost like that's how I downtime and I stop being so agitated, is we kind of incorporate it into breathwork and journaling and all that sort of stuff that you and I talk about and are huge believers in, just in life for everyone, I think.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, it's beautiful breathing. It's, who would have thought breathing needs to be beautiful?
Yeah, but it does.
Yeah. What's you were saying he breathes beautifully now, so what's that like? Is that like he's just full, like diaphragmatic, like chest and abdominals as well are just beautifully rising?
Yeah, so it's it was all in his chest and his shoulders, and when he gets agitated and stressed, it's all in his chest and his shoulders. And I see this with other people as well. And now when I cue him or when we do the breathing, it's all very much within his center. So you can see the expansion all the way through the front portion of his abdomen, all the way through his sides of his ribs. He's still a little bit stuck at times, but whenever I teach anyone breathing, just through daily stresses, daily postural positioning, they will come in and be slightly off, slightly stuck in one side. So every day, I'll get my hands on his ribs and make sure that I can feel that lateral expansion. So it just looks beautiful. There's a little, that with breathing, there is that reflexive breathing within his chest, which happens because you are breathing into your center, but it's nowhere near in his chest anymore. And it looks beautiful. It looks more like it did when he was a baby, and that's where you're trying to get them back to. So, or everyone back to, really. So it's lovely to see.
Yeah, beautiful baby breathing. The triple
beautiful
B.
Baby breathing.
Yeah.
That's what we want. BBB. Did you just acronym it?
Exactly. Triple B. That's where we're at. Everything can be acronymed. I came up with a sick one the other day. I'm not gonna reveal it. It's private. It's for my clients only.
Okay.
But it was
please.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, no, that's for my clients. Exclusive treatment. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good one. I quite like that. But yeah, it's funny. No, it doesn't have to be. But I'm gonna sit with it a little bit longer, and then push it out to the world
I like
when I'm
it.
ready for it.
Yeah,
But
I release
what
it.
was the other? What was the, yeah, exactly. What was the other story? You said you had another good story about that.
Yeah, so I hope my friend won't mind me talking about this, but
Too late. We're going to anyway.
sorry, mate. I'm really sorry, my friend. Um, so I take my son to a Thai boxing lesson on a Wednesday, and she takes her kids as well. And she came in, and she was really like, and she was like, I just can't get a full breath. I'm just, oh, and she was really out, and she looked like she was kind of on the verge of panicking. Do you know what I mean? She was just like, I just can't get full breath. I don't know what to do. I think I might have to go to the emergency doctors later. I don't know what to do. I'm, asthmatic. And I was just sat there looking at her, and I was like, okay, let her calm down. Let her calm down. And I was like, look, I could assess your muscles for you if you like, because I didn't want to interfere. Because when someone is in a really, really hyped up state, if you're like, oh yeah, I know what to do, listen to me, da da da. I was like, I don't know if it's going to help. I could assess your muscles, your breathing muscles for you, see what you think. And she was like, okay, all right. And then, so the class started, and I just got her into sitting. I was just sort of feeling around her ribs. And she was, and what tends to happen when people do get stuck in their breathing muscles, which are the muscles that surround our center as well, is they can feel ticklish. They can feel uncomfortable. They can feel almost nervy. And I was just feeling around the internal obliques, which is one of them, and the transverse abdominis, which is another one. And she was jumping on one side. So I was like, okay, fine. So I just got her and held that position. And I got her lying on the floor, and her diaphragm was really stuck around where I talked about earlier, where the ribs are attached. It's attached there. And that was painful as well. So and everything was in her chest. She was just breathing all up here. Everything was just very much within her neck, her shoulders, her chest. And she said it just felt stuck here around her sternum. And I was like, okay. So I just started to release out her rib cage. Didn't do any kind of like proper releases, because I just think that would have been a bit much. But just held my hand there, got her to breathe into her center, then got her to do a side stretch, which you and I know helps release out those muscles around the side. And then I just started to release around her sternum. There's like attachments to her sternum as well that you can release out. And within about 15 minutes, she'd calmed right down, and she was breathing into her center, and she said she could take a full breath. And it was like, boom, there we go. Okay, you're better. Great. And I was like, okay, when you start to feel like you're ramping up again, just put your hands onto your tummy and your ribs and just breathe into there. And I texted her the next day. I said, how are you feeling? And she was like, I felt a lot better. I could sleep, because it was stopping her sleeping as well. And she just said, I felt a lot better. And she said, I couldn't believe it. I slept really well. And I was like, oh, thank God. So that was really cool. And I said, right, well, whenever I see you, we'll be doing that breathing. So yeah, it's powerful stuff.
And did that change your frame of mind as well? The state of
Yeah,
mind?
you can visibly, and you see it all the time when you teach, you visibly see people dial down and relax. And they almost go into they look a bit stoned after a while. And that's kind of what you want, in a way, that the whole nervous system is just dialed down. Obviously, you want to be able to then get them to hype up a little bit to do the exercises. But yeah, it's an important state. I mean, especially when someone comes in and they're really agitated. Like, I see Noah do it all the time. And if you can just ground them and bring them into that core breathing, does really help, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, how many different systems did you affect there, at the same time? It's like you got a state of mind to be in a better place, from agitated to calming down.
Yeah.
Got her to get a better night's sleep so that she can actually restore herself, because it ends up otherwise being a vicious cycle where you can't sleep, so you don't get good quality sleep, and it puts you into more stress state. You get more stressed, you start to continue that exacerbated breathing pattern, and then you've just intercepted right where it's needed. Like breathwork is like, it's like the most powerful, it's arguably the most powerful way to change somebody's physiology in moments as well. So you can get somebody to literally, you took 15 minutes and you completely changed their world. So that's that's the power of getting that, learning how to use the breath well.
Yeah. And I think as we as trainers and teachers, like understanding where you're trying to work, how to release. And it's just come into my head like that. I'm on a few Facebook forums for Pilates, and someone put up, and I'm not going to go into it massively, but someone put up what was, I think she's an Oxygen Advantage teacher. She's done the Bateko stuff or something. And she just put up that she does this course all about the diaphragm. And I didn't read into it because I was like, I just don't want to start diving into what was becoming quite political. But everyone just kind of jumped on her and was like, is this a legit course? And, you know, is there any science backed behind it? And I was like, oh, no. And I'm pretty sure she was like Oxygen Advantage. Like she was talking about diaphragm and slow breathing and all this sort of stuff. And it just made me really sad that people were jumping on her because it was something that they potentially didn't know or weren't sure about or hadn't really studied much about. I don't know. As I said, I didn't really read into it, but it just, you know, this stuff is new, I think, in our world, like learning how to use the breath from an anatomical point of view and learning the anatomy really well and applying it to our methods. It isn't how Pilates teachers mainly teach. It is quite different, but
is that why it got political?
I think so.
Right.
And I just thought, you know, she's not just trying to peddle a course. She's trying to, you know, help people with their teaching. It just seemed completely genuine, and I just found it really sad that she got pounced on. And that was just a thought that came into my head. It's like, this stuff is new, and it is hard to wrap your head around, and the anatomy is complicated, and there are, even within like schools of, you know, anatomical training, there are differences, and some people say this and some people say that, but if it's helping your clients to breathe, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter, I think. Or it does matter. Do you know what I mean? But you know, as long as you're trying to help someone to breathe better, then great.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing about that kind of, it's especially in that environment where it's so common for something to be taught a specific way for so long.
Yeah.
And then, somebody just comes in with some brand new information. So obviously people will feel protective over it and, you know, show a bias towards it rather than being open-minded about what the possibilities are. It's just like kind of like a natural way to go. But it's true where it's like, seen as doing it this new way is kind of seen as a threat. And I think I've said it. Yeah, I've said it before as well, where I remember being on a course some years ago, and then by the end of it, this guy who was skeptical ended up thinking, all right, cool, this stuff is great, but I feel like I've been fucking up my clients for the last however many years I've been doing this thing because I've been doing it wrong. It's like, that's the kind of mindset somebody's probably looking at that new information with is like, okay, well, if this, like on some level is like, if this is correct, then I've been wrong. And if I've been wrong, then I've been screwing people up. It's like, no, that's not how it works. You know, this is like, it's like we're layering on new levels of information and use it to the best of your capabilities and do what you can to the best of your capabilities with the information that you have at hand. Right. But it's, it just goes to show it's important to like, keep an open mind, keep questioning what you actually know already, and because if you don't, you're gonna get caught up like that a lot. You're just gonna be hyper defensive a lot of the times. You're gonna be just stressing out about what is stressing about like protecting what you know rather than actually just realizing that there is probably a better way of doing something. And let's be honest, is like you're never going to know everything. And the state that we're in right now is, especially with breathwork, is it's kind of like lost knowledge. We're putting a bunch of modern day science on how and why it's beneficial the way that we preach about it, or rather the different ways of using your breath. But this is stuff that's been known for literally thousands of years. And so if we're going to be arrogant enough to be like, yeah, this getting arrogant enough to be taking on receiving new information, but pushing back on it because you think that the way you're doing something is the only way of doing something, is like, get your head out your ass, man. It's just is because there's so much that you don't know. And like for me personally, the more I learn about this kind of stuff, like anything is the more you learn that you don't know. So for me, it's just completely fascinating to just keep going down this route, to keep revealing to ourselves what we do actually know, and then using those questions that come up from that to investigate what you don't know. And the wildest thing about it is there's probably, so there's like, is you don't know, like, you know what you don't know as well. There's a part of that, right? So but then there's you don't know what you don't know. I mean, you don't know what you don't know is way bigger than anything else. So
what you do know.
yeah, and not just what you do know as well. It's like it's bigger than the stuff that you know that you don't know, as well as the stuff that you know. And yeah, exactly. Yeah, go on, wrap your head around that. It made sense, all right? It made complete sense. I guarantee that.
You practiced it, yeah? Did you practice those lines?
yeah. I knew exactly what I was going to come up to. Yeah. It's the unknown unknowns. You know, that old Donald Rumsfeld thing back in the day. That was funny as well. But it makes sense. Yeah, but that's the point. Is wherever you're coming into it. And whether you're a client, whether you're a practitioner, whether you're somebody who has no idea, but you have healthy skepticism, not skepticism to the point where you're like, okay, shut this down, nothing new, thank you. Is when you have that healthy skepticism, it's useful, and use it to actually question the line that you're going down, and then the better the answers that you get thrown at you is, okay, well, this is probably something worth delving into, because it's like, okay, that was in a professional forum, but then there's the people who aren't professionals, and it is kind of I would say what people think is health and fitness is barely scratching the surface of what actually health and fitness is.
Definitely.
Is because especially, I mean, I've been talking about the breath, I don't know, since 2013, 2014. And that was probably like before it was really becoming a thing, right? And
it was.
So at that time it was like, I just had to, I mean, it still is the case, but you just have to show someone how it's beneficial and why you need it. And otherwise it's just like, what? All right, cool. I'm just going to be on the floor, like,
teach
you're
me
going to
breathing.
get me to do and teach me breathing. It's like, oh, I just want to lift some weights. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. But we'll get there. Yeah, we're going to do that. But I just need to show you the benefit of doing this here first. And then I remember like a clear one was one of my clients was like, my abs hurt for 3 days afterwards. And it was like, yeah, we didn't do anything. We just all we did was get you to learn how to breathe correctly, and because of the function that you gained from breathing correctly and just waking up the muscles so that they allowed you to breathe properly, and put a little bit of load on them while you're trying to maintain good breathing quality. It was like 20 minutes worth of work, and it was like, it hurt to laugh for the next few days. So I was like, cool, there you go. You learned the benefit in a way that you are familiar with. If like, for a client, it's like, if muscles hurt, it's great, I've got to work out. I was like, well, first of all, that's not the complete story. That's not how it generally works to make improvements. But the flip side is that there's value to this in the model that you view it through. So it's, just approach things with an open mind, because the methods, there are many, but principles there are a few.
Yeah, that's a really nice phrase. And I think it is like that. I've seen it, or I've heard it a lot. People get defensive, don't they, when something's been challenged that they know. And I remember when I first did Kathy Dooley's core immaculate dissection course. And she was talking about the diaphragm and breathing and all the muscles that are around breathing and all the core muscles involved in breathing, of which there are about 7. I was a bit like, at first I was a bit like, oh shit, I've been teaching everyone wrong. I've been teaching the pelvic floor wrong. But I didn't get defensive. I got curious. I was like, okay, teach me. I want to know what not the correct way is, but I want to know this way. And I remember my friend Andy, who's an NKT neurokinetic therapy practitioner as well, and a Pilates teacher. We were both sat there going, there's no navel to spine. Okay, so there's never a navel to spine. Do we not teach navel to spine anymore? And Kathy was like, oh, no, there's certain instances where that's going to happen. But on the whole, no, this is not how we teach it here at ID. And it made perfect sense to me. It was like, of course that's right. And rather than thinking, no, that's wrong, I'm not going to teach that, it's just, I think it's just get curious with the information and try not to be defensive. It's like, nothing's wrong. You haven't fucked your clients up. It's just a new way of looking at it. If we look at science, it's like science advances all the time, and things that we thought we now know differently. And it's just the same with anatomy and breathwork and everything that we're learning. And probably in a couple of years, it's going to change again. And everything we know about the pelvic floor might be different. But as long as we're listening and learning, then I think that's the only way we can pass it on to our clients. And with our clients as well, you can't just like go, oh, we're going to learn it completely differently. You have to drip feed it into the way that you teach as well. It's not just bam, we're going to do something new. You have to slowly introduce this new way. It's like I'm just slowly introducing oxygen advantage stuff into my teaching. And it's difficult because it's like, how do you get everyone to breathe in and out through the nose? How do you get them to do it quietly and gently? So it's just, you just take a moment and you apply it slowly. And that's all you can do. But I think we just got to keep being curious and keep learning, because that's how we're going to get new stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Or it's just get rid of your old clients, bring in completely new ones and be like, we're doing it differently. Like, if you're not going to take this, you're done. Get out of here.
You go.
Yeah. No, exactly. Well, I mean, at the same time, like, what's incredible is like, as you evolve, your clients will evolve as well, right? So
lovely.
they're gonna, which is really cool. It's the ones I remember like, there were certain clients where it's like, I just need to stick to, like, they just want to stick to this certain thing. It's like, if you bring in something new, it's like, nah, ain't gonna happen.
It's gonna go. Then, totally cool.
Yeah, or it's just like, or just not even just like head's gonna go. They're just like, I don't care. It's just like, I just want to stick to this one thing. But over time, like but the ones who are interested in that kind of thing, you just, like you said, you just drip feed it in, and but they evolve better because of that as well. And it's no surprise that, like, over time, the ones who didn't want to take on board the new things that I was picking up as well, it was like, I just don't end up working with them over time as well. It's just because, just it doesn't, over time, it just doesn't end up being the right fit. It's like, there's nothing wrong about that. It's just the fit changes, right? It's like the kind of client and working and it ends up changing. So it's it's part of your own evolution. It's cool to see it being reflected in your clients as well, and how much better they get.
Absolutely. And don't you find that when you're studying something, or you're fascinated by a particular thing, or you're working on something, that they're the clients that you tend to attract as well? So I tend to do a lot of postnatal because I love it. I'm interested in it. I do a lot of bad backs, and people come to me with anxiety and things like that. And I think, it's not that I attract it. It's just that I'm interested in that type of thing. I know I can help those sort of people. And I think as I evolve and wherever I'm going to go next, it's like they're probably the clients that I will attract, not because it's in my advertising, but more because I think it's just something that I'll be interested in learning about. I tend to find that anyway.
I think there's definitely something to it. You put that, you just kind of like you just put that energy out there, and then somehow it just gets reciprocated, right? It's just exactly. Somebody walks through the door, he's like, I was just thinking about this the other day.
I know, it's really weird.
Yeah, you've got anxiety and you've had a child and you've got a C-section and you've got a bad back. It's like,
Tick,
this is
tick, tick.
yeah, exactly. This is everything. This is everything that I wanted. I was like, and you're just like, she walks in, you're like, yeah, give it to me. And then she's like, am I in the right place? You're like, yes, you're in exactly the right place. I love this shit.
Don't scare the people off, though. You know, come in, sit down, sit down. I've got loads. No, you don't do that.
Yeah, that's great. That's hilarious. I always love what Kathy says about that as well, because you're hyped up that they're messed up in their view, right? And they're like, why are you getting excited about me being all jacked up over here? You're like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. But I like what Kathy. You mentioned Kathy Dooley. I like what she says about this as well. She, like, somebody comes in, is like, I feel broken. She's like, awesome. I love it. It's wicked. Just so because it's true as well. It's basically your nervous system, your body has done whatever it can, whatever it can to keep you moving forward. And this is like, you get into that last resort, and the fact that you're still standing and you're still here, you're still able to like walk through the doors into my office and come and see me is like, well, look at you, man. Is like, how much resilience do you kind of have, right? Or in that sense, and so it's kind of like, yeah, appreciate the levels. It's really difficult to do. It's really difficult to do. It's like, appreciate it when you're messed up, because your body's just trying to help you out, basically. The whole way through, it's just trying to help you out, and it's a hard thing to be able to do. Be grateful for that kind of thing, but as soon as your recovery becomes a lot easier as well, and you could appreciate yourself, you could appreciate your body for what it's actually capable of, because it's on hyperdrive, trying to help you out, trying to make you navigate your environment, trying to make you function in your environment, and so just be like, okay, this is awesome.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah. And actually, talking of that, I was teaching my class this morning, and there were a few moves where I actually was like, and my back was like, it just, I don't know what it did, but it was like, this is quite painful. What's going on? It literally made me jerk up, and I was like, oh. And so now, again, I'm getting curious. I'm like, why is my back doing that? What's happened? And I've been lifting heavier weights with my friend. And I'm like, okay, that's probably what it is. And then I was just, and I suppose because I'm a practitioner as well, I'm like, I'm starting to assess. I think that's multifidus. There's definitely something going on with multifidus, and I probably need to get down and do a little bit more of that sort of lower back pain, my program. And it was, and if there's something I can relate to people that do have those moments where their back just goes, it's like, I wouldn't say don't worry, but I would say, know that your back is there protecting you, and there are going to be certain movements that might make it feel like it's straining more, and those movements where it feels painful, that's a protection mechanism. And so I was talking, so I think you could even hear the catch in my voice as I came down. I was like, and I came back up. But I was just like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't go down as far.
You're just like, and now you're going to bring your leg back into position. just bracing so hard throughout the movement. And I'm guessing you. Right. So I was wondering. I was like, you're laughing way too hard for this to not be true. So that must have been what happened.
I was standing and I was rolling down, and it just caught, and I went. I did. It caught like that. I was like, and it just took me by surprise. So I was like, oh. And I don't know why I'm talking about this, but it was just like, okay, I can get through it, and that was a warning signal that I need to do some more rehab work. So
right,
it's just that whole thing about, don't worry, just get curious, go and get some help, and know that it's fine. It can be made to get better, I think. But yeah.
Right. Brilliant. How is your strength training going, actually?
It's going really well. I don't know why I sounded sarcastic when I said that. But no, it's going really well. I think I'm laughing because I'm going to tell you how much I squatted the other day, and you'll be like, that's nothing. But to me, it's like the heaviest I've ever squatted. So
Yeah, go on.
what was it? It was about 53 kilos, which is nearly me.
Bam! Respect.
And I was squatting it, and Marie was making me do loads of different squats with it. But I don't think it was that did it. I actually think it was the deadlifts that probably did my back a little bit. I don't think me and deadlifts have a very good relationship. Bit of a love-hate relationship. I don't think they're brilliant for my type of spinal condition.
Okay.
Tell me what you think, actually. So you can help me out here. Tell me what you think. So I can't get into the position. My back will not posturally go into a kind of, you have to be quite level and then have your legs underneath and then pick the weight up and put it back down. My spine won't do it. It kind of curves a little bit. It goes into a bit of flexion. I just cannot make it go into that neutral position as I
this is when you're
weight. Deadlifting.
Right, it's deadlifting off the floor. There's no assist. Okay.
So so you've got the bar and you've got the weights. And what was I deadlifting? Probably similar amounts. Maybe a bit less.
Yeah.
No, it must have been a bit less. And I think that's what did it.
Yeah, well, if you're pulling off the floor and your back is going into flexion off the floor, then just raise where you're lifting the bar up from.
Okay.
So just place. It could be like you could put a weight plate underneath it, and that can be enough for you to be able to get into the position without you translating any movement through your back. So, and then you can gradually work into the range to get it to actually pull it off the floor. So in that instance, it's like, okay, if the deadlifts did it, but you're not able to get yourself into position, then as much as anyone else, like you're going to end up creating movement through your back while you're lifting something through with load, and that's not helpful. It's not healthy. So over long term, so put it into a position, lift it off the floor. Lift it off the base where it's just slightly lifted, and so that you're able to keep a neutral spine throughout. Because personally, I think at the right stage of somebody's rehab, they've done everything. They're getting out of pain. They're moving better. And I was actually going to say this to you at one point as well, especially because I wasn't aware that you hadn't done like that level of strength training for the longest time, right? But I was like, okay, well, that could be the next piece for you, or ever, right? Ever. Okay, so I think that could be like, when you do it well, that would be the next piece for you to feel even stronger, and like potentially, I think your back could feel even better. And like, so on those days where you do notice that it's a little bit off, I think you getting stronger, those days will be less and less, and those moments will be less and less frequent. I think that could be something like, keep doing it well.
Okay.
I think
less
that can
weight,
really help you out. Just start off with less weight, but it sounds like it's more of the range was the issue, less than the weight. And just change the level that you're lifting from, that you're pulling from, and then go from there. And then when you get more comfortable, when your body is able to receive that movement with that kind of load, it will allow you to eventually build up more range as well. So you can pull off the floor without flexing the back. Because that's the biggest problem people make, is like they just want to deadlift off the ground. It's like, no, like you can't. You're just flexing your back throughout the whole movement. So let's get you lifting off a platform to begin with, and then get used to that. And that way you can, the strength carryover is still there. You can still strengthen that posterior chain massively, and that's hugely beneficial. So take everything that with regards to proper posture and breathing, throughout a movement, and bracing throughout the deadlift to protect your spondy from pulling forward, and then lift. And then I think you'll actually find that, this is actually helping make me stronger rather than making you feel weaker.
I love it though. And I actually went for a run the other day, once my legs had eased off because they were really achy for a couple of days, and it all felt easier. And that's what I love about strength training, is that my running felt easier. I felt cardiovascularly stronger because my leg muscles weren't taking the brunt of everything, because they just felt so much stronger. And I noticed visually already, you know, it not that it matters, and we had a whole conversation about this last week, but you do look better. Like doing strength training, 100% you do look better. So it's just like these incremental gains for doing it the whole time, you know? But I 100%. noticed that I'm definitely stronger with running. And my mate's like, look, you need to start eating a little bit more, but I can't really wrap my head around that, if I'm honest. Like I've got a certain amount that I eat every day, and she's like, yeah, you might need to eat a little bit more. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's hard though, isn't it? When you're in a routine of eating a certain way and someone's telling you to eat a little bit more, it's like,
okay. All right, let's break that down a little bit as well. Like, well, first of all, it's like I know you said like it doesn't matter so much, but you end up looking better. It's like, well, it still matters, right? It's still like how we look still matters to us. So, and it's also, we talk about it's like it's a representation of the effort that you're putting in as well. Like, so it's cool. It's cool that you start to look better, but it's like it's what it's representing as well. It's like, okay, I'm getting stronger.
I'm proud of myself more than anything. It's like I'm like, this is what I wanted to do, and I can see the benefit from everything else. So
yeah, exactly. And I love it. It's like already, it's like within a matter of weeks, you're like, oh, my running feels so much more smoother, and I just feel like I've got a lot more in the tank. And it's not like you change anything with your running. It's just that the strength training has contributed to it, so making you a lot more efficient. It's making you a lot more powerful. So so what is it about the introducing more food to sustain your new levels of activity with strength training is kind of putting you off?
I don't think I do enough strength training to warrant eating more calories every day. I genuinely don't. I only do it once. I might do it. It might be once, twice a week, and one heavy lifting session. I don't have all those weights at home, so it'll be a slightly less heavy session. I don't know, but I think it is more psychological than anything. I count vaguely. I vaguely know how many calories I eat per day. So to up it by 200-300 calories seems like a lot to me. And I guess because it's so new, I don't know where my balance is. I don't want to put on weight. I obviously don't want to lose weight. I just want to keep it the same, and obviously hope that the strength training I can manage it, but also that I can make improvements with that. But yeah, I think it is just a psychological thing. It's like, really, you want me to eat more when I feel like I'm doing quite well with my nutrition, you know? And she's like, you can put some protein powder in there as well, which is fine. But it's like, do I eat that on the days that I'm not training? Do I still have protein powder? How does it all work, this nutrition stuff? Because I don't know a lot. I don't know enough about it to organize myself like that. So I know, and she's like, you need to eat more carbs. And it's not that I think carbs are bad. It's just like, I was managing quite well before. So I think just incorporating something new into your nutrition it's hard when you've done it a certain way for so long. Do you know what I mean?
Why is she suggesting that you need to eat a little bit more?
So I have more energy for training.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Right. And then what's in your concern is to not gain weight.
Yeah,
that's essentially it.
Yeah.
So what kind of weight are you thinking here? Like, I don't know.
I don't really want to. I feel like I sit well at a certain weight, and if I put on a couple of kilos, I don't know. I think it is just a psychological thing that I don't like seeing that on the scale. I don't know if I look any different. I don't know. It's hard to know. I don't look at myself all the time. You know, like Emily was saying last week, I don't stand in front of the mirror assessing myself. I don't have mirrors in my studio. I don't go anywhere with loads of mirrors or anything. So it's not like I'm looking and assessing the whole time. So when I see it on the scale, it's like, oh, that must mean I'm bigger. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I think as a woman, if you've gone up a couple of kilos, that's almost half a stone, you know? And it's like, oh, does that mirror in my body? Is that translating into my body? I couldn't tell you, actually. I don't think it is. But yeah, I think it is more a kind of psychological viewpoint than anything physical, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it often is. So it's so yeah, if you put on a couple of kilos, what do you associate that with?
I feel heavier, more sluggish. I suppose, like, do my clothes fit? But do I look bigger? Because I'm quite little anyway. It's like, do I look bigger? I think it's quite easy to look bigger when you're little, when you're short. Do you know? It's
Right.
like someone like you could probably get away with it because you're tall, whereas you notice it on me quite easily because I'm short.
Right. Right. I haven't thought about that. Well, I think it kind of depends. It's like, for example, well, if you think of like Umar, right? He was 180 kilos and he now hovers around 100 kilos. And but the thing is, he's the kind of dude. His frame, even though he's like 6'1" or something, his frame can handle look like he can. He would be 130, 140 kilos, and you wouldn't think it's obese, right?
No,
So
not an
it's
Umar,
that
no.
kind of frame. Whereas he's an inch taller than me, but if I was 130, 140 kilos, you're like, dude, I've just put on twice my body weight practically. It's like how did that happen? Like, well,
You
that makes
remind
no
me of
sense,
Joey in
right?
Friends where he wears the fat suit. Do you remember
Right.
that one?
Oh, the oh, okay. When they're doing, is it like a alternate reality
Yeah,
one?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Okay.
he
Yeah.
marries
Yeah.
Monica. That'd be you, fat suit.
Yeah, 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 for sure. It's just wild to think about me being that size, right? So even though like he's just that much, he's only maybe an inch taller than me. Our frames are entirely
Oh, I
different. There's no
see. I
way.
get it.
There's
I
no
get
way
it.
I
I
could
get it.
carry that off.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah,
Okay.
so that kind of thing matters. So
Yeah.
so yeah, you're associating with being heavier with, well, it is because you put on a couple of kilos, you're heavier, but it's
Yeah.
yeah, you're worried about like, okay, do clothes fit, and like,
Mm.
will I look bigger? What about like performance and things like that?
It doesn't affect my Pilates in any way. I mean, I teach an awful lot and I have to demonstrate an awful lot. With running, yes, it might affect my running for sure. Yeah, it does. You just feel sluggish, don't you? When I run up and downstairs, that's probably when I'd notice it the most, or doing martial art, because you feel like you're not as agile. Well, for me anyway, you're not as agile. You're not as quick. That's the one thing with me in martial arts. That's all I have is speed, really. Especially against you guys, it's like that's the only thing I have is speed to get away from you all. So if I haven't got that, then I haven't got anything really. So yeah, it's that kind
So
of thing.
right, so but with that extra couple of kilos, have you been an extra couple of kilos but still been lean? Like, have you? Because well, here's the thing.
No.
So this is something, yeah, like worth looking at, because what tends to happen is, you're looking at it and been thinking like, okay, if I put on a couple of kilos, it's like nearly 5 pounds. I'm going to be a bit sluggish. I'm going to be slow. But our association with it is if we put on 5 pounds of fat, right? And
Yeah.
that's the only thing that we know is like if we put on weight,
Yeah.
we're like, oh crap, I put on 5 pounds of fat, and then you're wondering how you look. You feel like you're sluggish. You feel all these different things. Whereas if you put on a couple of kilos of muscle over the next 3 to 6 months or something doing it, you could actually even like there is potential that you could even fit into your clothes better
Yeah.
because you're leaner. So you've just replaced the muscle to fat. You've improved your muscle to fat ratio, so your body composition is improved. So if you're a couple of kilos heavier, but it's coming from more lean muscle tissue, and you still look how you want to look, you still you don't feel lethargic. That heaviness actually doesn't translate because you're like, I feel a lot more spring in my step because I'm stronger and my running is still pretty good. And then your performance is better in all those different ways, like then when you frame it like that, does it matter if you're a couple of kilos heavier?
Absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
It is, and it is just that psychological switch, isn't it? That if everything still looks the same or it looks better, then it kind of shows you that that doesn't matter then, does it? I think it's a balancing act. And I think that it's, and again, I'm going to cite Emily, you have to use those tools, that information to make decisions on your nutrition, your training and everything. You know, if you are heavier, but you do look better, then you're using that information well. If you're heavier, but you don't fit into your clothes well, you are sluggish, then that information is telling you that you need to change something. So at the moment, because I've just introduced this, heavy strength training for me, I don't know how to manage everything. It's not something I'm used to. So it is just finding out what nutrition works. Can I up my food? Can I introduce protein powder? What's that about? It's just stuff that I haven't really ever experienced before. So it's just learning to incorporate it into your day, into your week. So
fully. And there's a couple of things which about it which are interesting and important to note. Is first of all, is like you don't have to do everything all at once. It's just like, okay, well, if I need to eat an extra couple hundred calories, then let me just stick to training days, right? So I'll just do that on training days where I need to. Well, I'll just make sure I get a little bit more carbs and a little bit more protein in me. And then we can work out getting specific around that. And then what was the other thing? God damn it, I've already forgotten it. I don't know how I've done that. Should have started with that one probably. It's God damn it, I can't believe I forgot. It just completely left me. As soon as I was about to say it, it was like it just grew wings and flew out of my mind.
That's my
what
brain
it felt
most days, to be fair. That was really funny.
Yeah, that's what I did. It's just
away.
Sorry. It literally actually felt like something had just flown out of my brain. It felt like a bird just flew away. That's the image that I have in my mind of that.
I like that
That's
image.
Yeah. It's funny what my mind does. Like, just like you start to notice on these different things. And you just go, oh, it feels like I'm like, if I'm talking and I'm working something out, it feels like I'm walking down a path that hasn't been trodden, and it's literally forming in front of me. Like the tiles on the path are actually being created as I walk along.
These great visuals. It's very film-esque.
Well, I don't know. I'm quite heavily influenced by movies, I think. And then with that one is like the thought left my mind. It literally felt like a bird. Like my thought was a bird and it flew off. Like that's what it looked like in my mind. I was like, where did you just go? What just happened to you? And I think that's really cool. I think because there's some weird stuff about that stuff like that as well. It's just people are just different. Like so I get that kind of visual, or I might be seeing words in my head. There are actually people who have zero visual. Like they can't
visual.
They will not see something.
Yeah.
That's all I got, man.
That's all I've got is visual. That's how I learn. But that must be how you learn then. I learn very visually. It's like I don't learn by listening. I have to see. And that's how, and then I remember the scene or whatever it is that we're learning. It's like, I'm always interested in how people learn, because when you say people don't I'm like, how does that even, what do you do then? Do you listen? It's like, I can't. So how do you do it? Is it visual, or is it everything? Or is it, kinesthetic as well?
Kinesthetic. Oh man, I wish I didn't cut you off there. You're going to say something wild there.
I can't remember.
You're going to make something up entirely. You're going to be like calisthenics?
Calisthenics? No, I don't know.
Kinesthetic, just experiential, feeling it, right? And then visual, auditory. I think it's I don't know. I'm like I don't like. I think it is like we might have a bias towards something, but everything else matters as well. Sure. So, but I feel like I'm a bit I don't know, I might have that thought where it's like that's visual, but then I'm also like quite auditory, and I definitely, when it, especially like, I mean, you can't get away with it really in jits, is like it's more experiential. Like
Huge.
I know people like I know people who can like watch something and be able to apply it more quickly than others.
I can do a bit of
And
that, but yeah.
yeah, but then it's like, yeah, okay, I get that, but I'll have to just be like, all right, fine, just show me a few times. I'm gonna fuck it up a few times, and then by feel, I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, cool,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then it gets better and better and better. Yeah, I think I'm a little bit of everything, because I'll hear something, and I think the tone of something like is important in how I store that information if I'm learning something. And then yeah, visual, like for yeah, I think it matters it matters on a level, but yeah, I think I'm just, for me personally, I think I'm all over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
But yeah, but yeah, going back to that thing, at least sticking to one bit that I remember, which was
Go on.
the so with the nutrition aspect is like, all right, well, for now, like okay, training, if you're doing the strength training 1 to 2 times a week, sorry, then just eat those few extra calories on those days. And oh, that's, here we go, see, I talked myself back into it. I remember now.
I knew it.
That was that visual is an envelope coming through the post. It just got delivered. It just came back to me.
Say the thing before you forget it again. Come on.
Oh shit, I lost it. It's like Fight Club. It's like, do you remember that scene? I sent it to you the other day as well. It was
what was
yeah,
it? You're going to forget the other thing.
I'm not. I remembered now the importance of eating enough. That's it. But that's such a sick scene where, like, you know, they're in the basement. It's like, I'm fucking Lou. Who the fuck are you? And he's like,
That's it.
Brad Pitt's just getting pounded. He's like, you know, you're gonna leave this place, and he's like, okay, yeah, I got it. Oh shit, I lost it, and then he just gets smacked again. It's so good.
Watch that film again. I need to watch that film again.
Oh, it's excellent. It's excellent movie. Yeah, so the idea there, so the second thing was the importance of eating enough. So because like for most people is like for you, you're not really worried about losing weight. You're thinking more about gaining weight here. And for most people is weight loss is a big thing.
Yeah.
And but what's really important there is to make sure you're actually eating enough, because people tend to go through heavy restriction thinking this is what I need to do. Like I had a former client who was like, oh, I know I need to eat 800 calories a day, then I'll be losing weight, and like it was put into that person's mind that this is the only way you can do it.
Oh my God,
and I was like, yeah, and I came in and I was like, all right, here's a set of the habits, we're going to develop them, but there is absolutely no way under my watch you're eating less than absolute minimum. You're not going to eat less than 1,300 calories. And like I was like, there's no way that's happening. And it was just such a wild change in thought. It was just, I know, surely I'm supposed to do that. But when you're doing that, you create all sorts of like responses physiologically, which essentially, you know, people can liken it to the starvation mode. Is like there's only so much change that your body will make before it goes, I'm just not getting enough energy, so I'm going to slow down the metabolism over time. And it's like you actually and it's not just the metabolism, but you will the other things that affect it is like, for example, like your basal metabolic rate is just how much energy, what is my metabolism, how many calories am I burning on a day where I'm just doing nothing, I'm just lying down essentially. And then you figure that rate out, and then that can drop if you're basically not consuming enough, you know, energy, because your body's like, I want to conserve. But it's the other things as well. Like when you're conserving like that, the next biggest thing that is associated with calorie burn is actually your what's called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which just basically means the calories you burn moving around, like doing day-to-day stuff, which isn't specifically exercise.
Okay.
So that could be literally, I'm sitting here, I'm moving my hand around, I'm fidgeting, That is NEAT. That is non-exercise activity thermogenesis going on,
Okay.
and and so that goes down. That's actually the next biggest chunk of your calorie expenditure for the day. Like, believe it or not, people think it's exercise. Is like, it's actually not.
No,
That
it's your
is,
movement throughout the day,
yeah,
right?
that's it. Yeah, your baseline level of movement throughout the day. So that will go down automatically because your brain just knows. It's like, I can't let you do anything because you're heavily restricted here. So I'm going
Right.
to
That's
stop that from
interesting.
happening. So you will you will not expend as many calories as well, and then the
Mm.
effort you can put into your exercise goes down. Yeah, there's all those things, and naturally you end up conserving more calories as well. So you're like, I'm eating. Let's use that example. I'm eating 800 calories. I'm not losing weight. It's like,
That's why.
because
Yeah.
that's, yeah, that you're in a bad spot. We're not going
Oh,
to do that. You start to eat enough to be able to support your levels of activity. You become more active. You have more NEAT going on, and therefore you start to increase your calorie expenditure again at a healthy level, and you'll be able to lose that weight again. You start to shift it. So there is actually an argument for a lot of people who do go on this weight loss journey, is like, just make sure you're eating enough,
mm,
because and then when you're doing what you're doing, is like, you're eating enough calories to support Pilates and running, but now you're
yeah.
going to be doing strength training, and with strength training you're going to put on muscle tissue. Muscle tissue is more metabolically active, so you need to consume more calories to be able to handle that level of activity, and also
Okay.
handle the muscle tissue that you're gaining as well. Otherwise, it's just you're putting a brake on your. You're basically trying to move forward with the handbrake on. Like,
Mm,
if you're not eating enough, but you're incorporating this level of training, so yeah, just make sure you are eating enough. And that doesn't have to mean, like we said, it's not all or nothing where you just slam down 200, 300 calories extra per day. It's like,
mm,
let's just work with, all right, let's just make it on training days around my training routine. I'll just eat a little bit more, and or I'll have an extra meal, and that's it. I'm good. And then that will solve that. And then as you go along, as you improve, you'll start to know that your body's going to need a little bit more as
mm.
well, or and when it's going to need it. And but yeah, it's approaching that with an appropriate plan for your nutrition as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's great advice. Something that came up as you were talking is like, what's your opinion on cheat days? I hear this phrase a lot, cheat days, and I don't know how I feel about it. And it can be like a cheat day or a cheat meal, but it's like, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, there's a lot to we could unpack there,
Mm,
in terms of, like, well, in a way, it's like, what is, yeah, what exactly are you asking about? So it's like, there's
okay.
thoughts on cheat days, but it's like, in relation to what outcome?
Okay. So say you have a nutrition or a way of eating, like a nutrition plan, and you stick to a certain amount of calories every day, and you're eating really well, or a phrase that's used a lot is you're eating clean. But to me, it's just like you're eating nutritionally balanced food, and not loads of processed food. So if you're doing that 6 days a week, and then you have a cheat day, not for anything necessary, just because you want to keep what you're doing within your training working, and you're moving forward and you're performing optimally, then a lot of people talk about cheat days and having a day or a meal where they eat what they want, or they have a burger, whatever it is, pizza, takeaway, that kind of thing. I don't really do it. I have moments where I have more. Like yesterday, I had more in the evening, but I don't. Today's a cheat day. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
I get it, but I just wondered what your thoughts were on it. I mean, I just feel like if I want a cookie, I'm going to have a cookie. I just build it within my calorie intake. And I just kind of do that every day. Not every day. I don't eat a cookie every day, but do you know what I mean? It's like I just build it within what my nutrition is for the day. I don't know. So, and for me, it's like if I had a cheat day, I think I would just go for it, you know. And it's just I don't think that's quite the right idea. I don't think you just get up and that's it, pancakes and then burger. I don't think that's what you should. So I'm very careful, and I just wondered what your thoughts were on it.
So there's okay. So I'm going to, because I'm going all over the place with it. So I'm going to stick some parameters on it. So if we're talking like again, context of weight loss, right? So because again, a lot of people are worried about weight loss, and so you want to basically be in a calorie deficit during weight loss.
Yep.
And to be able to sustain that weight loss. And so while you're in that calorie deficit, what can happen is with with that calorie deficit, the idea is also, just you say eating clean is like, I don't want to create those associations with with food, right? Because people really have those kinds of problems with it as well. I know you're coming from as well. It's just you taking that industry term and then that's like just using it. But it's essentially, I mean, like, what is eating clean as well? It's like, there's like who are you going to help with a particular statement around exactly what it is to eat clean, but yeah, you're trying to get for more nutritionally dense food, essentially, rather than just calorifically dense, because that helps to satiate you and that helps to sustain you better when you're because it's more nutritionally dense rather than calorie dense. You can have both. That's rare. It's what you're trying to do is just essentially make sure that you're well nourished, so that you're able to stay satiated. And when you're staying satiated, it means you want to eat less food, and you're more likely. It's easier for you to stay in a calorie deficit. And so when you're introducing a cheat day, you're like, if, for example, you've got over, say, a 6-day period, you're going for, I'm just going to make the math easy. So you've got a 200 calorie calorie deficit every day, right? And then so you've got 6 days of being 1,200 calorie deficit. Then if you have a cheat day and then you go and eat, so you've got a 1,200 calorie deficit, and on an average, on a given day, you are eating 2,000 calories a day, let's just say. Then you build up a 1,200 calorie deficit, and so on that 7th day, if you eat like 4,000 calories, right, you've gone 800 calories above that deficit that you've created, and on a week-to-week basis, you've actually eaten more. You've been in a calorie surplus than you've been in a calorie deficit. So that can prevent you making gains, making the headway towards your target. And so it's like, I'm eating really, really well 6 days out of 7. On the 7th day, I'm just having a cheat day. What's the big deal? It's like, it doesn't have to be a big deal, but as long as you're still in a calorie deficit. And what's happening with cheat days is, because they're so calorifically dense. I mean, I'll tell you, I've been there. I can tell you from personal experience as well. So I'll go into that in a moment. But you will just eat a shit ton of calories, and you, without even realizing it, because like that's how easy it is. Pretty much, it's a binge. And so having that cheat day is like, okay, cool. If it helps you stay sane with like the food choices that you're making, go ahead, but make sure that if your goal is still to lose weight, then you've got to sustain a calorie deficit, and that one cheat day can throw off the whole thing. And so you have to be sensible about that. So it's kind of like, if the cheat day is there, keep it to your regular calories, and just or bake it into your week, where you're like, okay, I know I'm gonna have a few extra calories here, but make sure it doesn't exceed your expenditure. So And then in that way, if you're able to do it sensibly like that, it's like, yeah, cool. Here's something that I used to do. So ages and ages ago, I was doing something similar. So I would like eat well during the week. And over the course of the week, when I ever had like a craving come up, I was like, I really want a Krispy Kreme. I would just make a note of it. And
Okay.
then another day I was like, I want cheesecake. I'll make a note of that as well. And I was like, oh man, I can't wait to eat pizza. So I'd make a note of that as well. So I basically had like pizza, cheesecake, and Krispy Kreme. Like those were the things that I really wanted to have.
Right.
And then Sunday would come around and I would order a pizza, go get some Krispy Kreme, and have a cheesecake as well. And
Oof.
and then it satisfied that craving, and it was
Okay.
just like
Nice.
making a note of it helped me like not go crazy and just
Yeah. Okay.
have it there and then. It was like, no,
Yeah.
the day's coming. I'm gonna have it on that
Yeah.
day.
Like it.
And but the thing is, those cheat days used to go wild. Like
Oh.
even especially when my cousin used to get involved. Oh man, I mean, it would be like Yum Yums, double dozen Krispy Kreme. We'd go and like get some like burgers for takeout. I just remember one day just being at his house and just lying on the floor on my belly. I was just prostrate. I'd probably about 5,000 calories later, just going. And there's like the party that just goes, that tasted so good, but
Yeah.
Lord have mercy, am I paying for it now?
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
a lot
awful.
of
And
calories.
it is, well, I mean, it could easily gone more. I know there were days where it was just stupid. It was just stupid. And then,
Okay.
but the thing is, for me, it was like the more I did that, the less I wanted to do that. So every week
Yeah.
would come,
Good.
and then I was doing the same thing, and I realized, I just don't want to feel like that. So then it became a bit more of a reasonable cheat day. I
Yeah.
mean, still maybe 3,000, 4,000 calories, but I was like, okay, fine.
Manageable.
A bit more manageable for me. And then I didn't want to basically spend a day in a food coma or just feeling awful in my body, and my body just being like, what are
Bad
you
night's
doing to
sleep.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and all that kind of stuff. So I just stopped. It came to a point where I was like, no, it's just a cheap meal,
Yeah.
and that's essentially what it comes down to. So there can be a time and a place for it to help you manage your, like, any kind of cravings. It can help you manage was it just keep you sane from all the food choices that you feel like you have to make. But then the flip side of that is like, okay, well, what's the relationship with food, right? It's like, what's the relationship with healthy food? So if you feel like you have to look forward to a day where you get to eat whatever the hell you want, then there's a problem with the days when you are eating according to what's nourishing for your body, potentially. So there's kind of like, okay, let's flip that relationship with what is perceived to be healthy food. Let's make that more of a thing where it doesn't actually feel like you need to have a cheat day. You're actually not just satiated by the food that you're having, but you're really freaking enjoying the food that you're having, which is better for you overall. And you know it's better for you. You feel great when you're eating this stuff, all right?
Exactly.
But so you don't feel great when you stuff yourself with burgers and chips and shake. And it's like, and again, this isn't to say that none of that stuff, you should never have it. There's always a time and a place for it. You want to be able to have the things that you like indulging in. You want to be able to have the things that you enjoy, because if you can't do that, you're driving yourself insane. Like, you're not doing anything sustainable. So don't bother.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it as well, which is a relationship with food. If it helps you to, if essentially the first point is like, if it helps you manage cravings and stuff like that, then have that, and then start to address the issues that can come up with just having a cheat day, and making sure that you're not overdoing it to the extent that if your goal is weight loss, then you're actually throwing yourself out of weight loss. And then there's the idea of a relationship with food. If you feel like you need to have a cheat day to make your whole week worthwhile, then it's like, actually, let's flip it on its head. Then also, eventually, I've come to believe is, if you're restricting it to a single day, then I think that's just unnecessary. Is like, if you can do that, is again, be sensible with it. Like, have a donut on a Monday.
Yeah.
Go and have one of your meals be burger and fries. And then just split it up across over the course of the day. But again, over the course of the week, for example. But then go and like really enjoy them. Really be present with those meals. But it's not taking anything away from you aiming towards the thing that you're aiming towards, in terms of the health and the shape that you want to be in, and you actually feel pretty good with the meals that you're having on a day-to-day basis anyway. Like, so you don't have to save it for a particular day. You can do it over the course of the week, where 80% of your meals you're basically nailing them, and then the 20% is where you just go, I'm just going to let it go and indulge in the things I really like. For me personally, I love pizza, I love burgers and fries and shake. I'm a sucker for sweet food and chocolates and stuff, so it's like I could just and then I know when I'm overdoing it as well, because I just, like, as soon as I finish, I'm like, ugh, that feels sickening. And so it is difficult as well, because with those hyperpalatable foods, it's so easy to consume so many without realizing it. I've done this numerous times as well, like, those bags of crisps. I call them Tyrells. Tyrells?
Tyrell sounds better to me, to be fair.
Tyrell is well
Tyrells,
better.
yes, I know the one.
But I remember when I got called out on that as well. They were like, "What Tyrell? They're Tyrells," and they were laughing because obviously because the reason I called it Tyrells was, remember Snatch, Tyrone.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's like, and Tyrone's like, "Cool, Siam," and they kept calling him Tyrone, right? We kept calling his name was Tyrone, and then I saw Tyrells, but I read Tyrells because of Tyrone, even though that was completely wrong. So I've been saying, like, Tyrells for years. I was like, I'm just eating these, like, the Tyrells potato chips. And then once it was my client actually, and he goes, they're called Tyrells, and I was cracking up. I was like, nah, I'm never gonna call them Tyrells. I'm gonna call them Tyrells. That's it. But God, they're so easy to just down a whole bag because they just taste so good. Like, that's like 600 calories, and I've done that, and I went, oh shit, that happened really quickly.
Popcorn, bag of popcorn, 100 grams, 700 calories. So yeah, it's easy to do.
Well, that's the thing. Well, it's interesting because volume-wise, popcorn is. You can have a handful of popcorn and it's like 10 to 20 calories. It's nothing, right? But if you have a handful of crisps, it can be like 100 calories.
Yeah.
So it's like the volume of popcorn. But if you have 100 grams, like, that's a lot of volume. Yeah. So it's like that much. Whereas if you just... Oh God, yeah, exactly. So so there's the volume that matters there as well. Whereas, it's crazy. It's like, that's 700 calories, but then you could fit 700 calories worth of chocolate in your hand.
I know.
Right? So it's the density there.
Yeah, it is nuts.
But I think, to kind of, like, I guess wrapping that up is, when it comes to cheat days, is you can have a cheat day as long as it doesn't derail you from the goal that you're trying to achieve. You have to be very conscious of the amount of food that you're having with a cheat day. And if it helps you keep, like, cravings in check, then great. If it helps stop you from eating excessively during the course of the week, then great. But ultimately, what it's really, if it feels like, it's a way to go. It's a lifestyle choice. You can just do that. But if it's coming down to having a cheat day because you just it makes the week worthwhile, then I believe you need to look at your relationship with the week that you're having, and with the food choices and the habits and the kinds of foods that you're eating on a day-to-day basis, and change your relationship with them, so that a cheat day isn't something that you feel like you have to calendar in and look forward to. It can just be a normal part of your day, and you don't have to go all out. You can just spread it out over the course of the week. Have a little bit of dessert with one meal, have pancakes for breakfast for one of these days. Just make it work for you in a more sustainable way.
Good advice. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is personally for you.
Really good advice. No. I mean, when you were talking, I was thinking it's also down to portion control as well, isn't it? And I think it then comes back to information. It's like knowing how many calories you need to eat in a day and how much your meals contain as well, right? It's not just about eating really well, it's about how much you're eating as well, because it's great to eat really healthy foods, but it's the amount you're eating as well, because that's going to play an effect or have an effect on your weight loss. So it's knowing and learning about your portion control as well and what works for you. I know when I've eaten too many carbs. I know when I've overdone it. And I think it is just learning it. And I'm definitely with you on the cheat days. I would rather have a donut one day, have a pizza another day, and just incorporate it into my week that way. And I enjoy the food that I eat anyway. You know, it's I think you just get used to it, don't you? I enjoy chicken salad, whatever it is that you know have in my week. So yeah.
But there's with that is like the way you said that as well, you just get used to it. I was like, oh, that's kind of sad.
Well, kale isn't the best thing, is it? I mean, who likes kale?
It's
not
like
exciting.
Chewy, rubbery kale. No, but like, yeah, you get used to it is one thing. But the thing is, for me, is like, there's no compromises for me when it comes to enjoying food. I love food so much. Like, I would be 110 kilo chef if you just let me go. Like in 3, like, I don't know, give me a few months and that's it. That's what it would take. But not in a healthy way, right? Is what I'm saying. It would be detrimental for my health.
Yeah.
So I put a lot of effort into being present with my food and just really enjoying it.
Advice,
I think it's required, especially if you are on restriction as well. It's just like, you know, that like we talked about last week, but Chris Pratt, where he was just like, it was so funny, but it's also like, you know, just, you know, you got to know what you're getting yourself into with that kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, he's just like, I'm so enjoying this moment. I'm looking forward to this so badly.
He was brilliant. That was so. I used to love his little videos of him unwrapping whatever it was, a protein bar. So good.
Yeah, and so it's like, yeah, just be super present with your food, and then there's so much to it in terms of like when you cook your own food, you're making exactly how you'd want it as well. That's such a good feeling to eat your own food where it's in the flavors that you actually really want it to be in.
You know what's gone into it as well. It's like, and I have to say, I cook so much of my own food that when I do have a takeaway, I don't feel great after, if I'm honest. So, because I have very few takeaways that I don't actually feel brilliant when I've had food that I haven't cooked. And I don't mean it that I'm an amazing chef. It just means that I know what I've put into my food and it's all quite basic. And so when you have lots of additives, whatever it is that they put in, I don't know, it doesn't make you feel great either. So that's part of it as well, I think.
You're knowing what goes into your food. You're making it yourself. So there's the element of like, you know, the effort that you put in and the reward that you get from the effort that you put in and from the flavors and everything. I think there's a lot to that as well. So that's why, I don't think there's any substitute for home cooked food in terms of, just in terms of pure enjoyment. I mean, there are a couple of exceptions, like, you know, you go to a good burger joint or you go to a good steak joint or something, and it's like, obviously, it's like, that's just legit. That's levels.
You're making my mouth water.
I know, I'm starting to do it myself. I was like, But then what I do, like, I don't know, because that's me as well. So I end up like investing time in figuring out how to make a good steak at home as good as I can with the stuff that I got. Nice. And then making really good burgers at home. And then, you know, all that, like, that's what I end up doing. So over the last few weeks, it's like week on week, I've just been improving a burger recipe for like, okay, having the kind of flavor in the burgers that I want, but also, just knowing how to cook them as best as I can. So I'm limited now because like the best way for me to cook them is put them in the oven. I don't really have a good grill. So I'm like, I really want to get these grilled and barbecued and properly, because that would be, oh my God, it would be so good. So, so it's like, that's what I end up doing is like, okay, well, then it's just so much more satisfying because I've made it myself. There's the effort, there's the love that's gone into that, and then a reward of eating the thing that you put effort into. And
I get that.
yeah, it's and then like that burst of flavors that you are like, yeah, this is my thing, and then the effort you've taken to get to that point where it's actually really worth having as well. It's like I've spent a few weeks of like the last batch that I made was the best batch, and it was like, and you just learn a lot about the like what it takes to do something well, like enjoy. You learn a lot about cooking as well that way. It's like,
of course.
just little things, which make a big difference. So yeah, for example, with burgers and stuff, well, the fat is what's holding the burger together. So just get a good cut of fatty meat, and then you don't really have to use a binder. You don't have to use an egg to.
Oh,
bind it
really?
together,
Interesting.
right? At least, well, but then it depends on what you're putting into the burger as well. So if you put more stuff in, then it's going to need something to keep it bound together. Whereas if it's not, I don't think you don't really need to whack anything in there. And that's the other thing I'm thinking is like after having played around with a couple of things, I was like putting a bit of garlic and thyme in the burgers, and it was like so damn good. But then I was like, you know what? Probably simpler. Like make it even simpler. Just like just leave it. Just like don't do anything and just basically salt it right before you cook it, and then that's gonna be the one. But I'm just gonna. I'm just going to keep playing with it and see what happens. But you're talking about making it complicated. When I was talking about it with my flatmate, and then she found a video of a peanut butter burger. Exactly
with beef,
that face.
like a beef burger with peanut butter.
So here's So
I don't know how I feel about that. Go on, tell me.
So I was like, you got like goddamn Americans, man. This is what they're good at. They're just good at making up random shit. And me, in a twisted way, I'm like, what? That's disgusting. I must try this.
Yeah, I want to try it, but I'm like, I'm not sure how I feel. Carry on.
So that's it. I was like, okay, so you got the burger, and I was in my head, I was like, okay, so you're just gonna spread peanut butter on the bun, and like
you put it in the burger, don't you?
This is it. I know. Right. I was like, what? You're actually cooking. You're actually putting peanut butter into the batter, into the mix, and then cooking the burger, and it's got peanut butter in there. That was one version, and I was mind blown.
Sure
I was like,
that.
I was just thinking that's disgusting. But there was the more sensible, quote unquote, version, which was actually what you think it would be, which is just spread some peanut butter on the burger in the bun. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I might be prepared to try that one day. But
no, because then I feel like I've wasted a burger because I don't know. No, I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's worth. It's just going in knowing that you might have just sacrificed a burger and it's okay.
Exactly. I don't know how I feel about that, but okay. Yeah, there's some funny old stuff out there. I did have something to say, but I've forgotten it now. Oh no, that was it. Sometimes, so I love that you make all your own food and it's a process, and it's about taking your time and doing that. But sometimes, for me, especially, sometimes I just don't want to cook. Like as a mom,
I mean, like. Yeah, don't get me wrong. There's like there's an Indian that's local to me, and then there's a Turkish place that's nearby us as well. They do great food. Nice. So probably 1 or 2 times a week, it'll be like, okay, we can get the Turkish because relatively, it's relatively like Turkish food for me. I'm like, okay, there's healthy choices with Turkish food, really easily, right? And then with the Indian, it's like, okay, I'm just going to get a chicken tikka masala with some rice and occasionally throw in a naan as well if I want the extra calories. But
nice.
It is, and it's great and it's nice, and so sometimes you just don't want to. You just want to chill out, and you just want somebody else to. You just want somebody else to have served you. It's like, that feels good, getting served.
I've forgotten what that's like. To be fair. Going to
that's
a restaurant.
right.
Yeah.
What is that? What's a restaurant?
I don't know. People come to my house and hand me food, which is great. I don't mainly for my son, but we're allowed to go to restaurants as of Monday, aren't we? And go and sit inside, right?
I'm going inside now. Ooh.
I think so.
Risque.
I know. I don't know. It's all very confusing. But yeah, I forget what it's like to be served food. I do all the food cooking. So it'd be nice to go and sit in a restaurant and go, yes, thank you, that's great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, enjoy that as well.
Yeah.
Like, is Noah taking a hand at cooking?
I came in from my class the other day and he'd made non-cook cookie dough and there was just shit everywhere. So yeah, he does all right. He was like, well, I didn't want to put the oven on, so I've just made non-cook cookie dough. So there was
Are you just munching on
sugar
cookie dough?
Yeah, he was just there with a bowl like that and a spoon.
Respect. That's excellent.
Yeah.
He's like, I want some cookie dough. He just made some cookie
I
dough.
was hungry, so I've just cooked a non-cooked cookie dough. I was like, right, you could have had some toast, or you could have had, some cheese. No, non-cooked cookie dough.
One track. I want cookie dough, and I want it now.
Yeah,
and he made it. That's respect.
He did.
At least
awesome. Yeah, and we do cook stuff together, but it's mainly sweet stuff, and it ends up with me screaming. You're getting the eggshell in the cake, but it is fun, and he does know how to cook stuff, and it's all part of it though. When they're that age, you teach them how to use the washing machine, you teach them how to use the dishwasher, you teach them how to do this, so it's all coming. So yeah, he's got to know how to cook soon.
Yeah, hell yeah! Oh man, that's a life skill.
Huge, because lots of people don't know how.
Mm-hmm. Food. It's what we do every single day. Like, just learn how to do it well.
You've got to learn how to do it well. And have a few choice recipes up your sleeve. If you know how to cook a few things, you're golden. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You're right. I'm just thinking, what's your go-to?
What do I cook?
Like that recipe, those few recipes, like, yeah.
So I cook from scratch really quickly pasta sauce with pancetta, and that's really nice. I also cook a really nice aubergine and gorgonzola pasta, which is really quick. For me, it's got to be quick. Things like that. Lamb burgers, again, really quick with gorgonzola. I love you get the cheese theme here, but they are awesome. I cook those really well. And then just roasts, like go to like chicken and then pork shoulder. I have a few things that will cook really quickly just because I have to, because I get really tired. But no, if I'm going to town, it'll be like a pork shoulder roast or something like that, where you put it in the oven for like 6-7 hours and you like constantly keep on it, and all those sort of things. So, but pasta sauce has to be like a really quick go-to. Burgers again, bolognese. It's all quite meat based, but then just chicken, just chuck it in.
Yeah,
So,
bam.
What about you?
Burgers, salad, sweet potato.
Oh yeah, all of that.
Yeah,
salad.
That's a solid go-to. Essentially, the salad and the sweet potatoes is pretty much there all the time.
Yeah, same.
And but then it's just a matter of what's the main going to be. It's like I'll get some salmon, put a bit of garlic and salt on it, and then that could be the flesh, the meat, the protein, and the burgers as well. So I'll get a bit of thyme and salt and pepper, whack that on the surface, put them in. They're easy. Yeah. And then steak as well. So steak.
Oh yeah, we could.
Or just put a little bit of salt on it, let it get to room temperature, put a little bit of salt on it, and then pan cook that bad boy up. So essentially those are always the go-tos, and then it's just a matter of whether it's going to be steak, burgers, fish, and then chicken. I've stopped making it so much myself. Like, I'm just not enjoying it as much when I'm cooking it. I just like it. Like other people have got better recipes than me for chicken,
right?
And or at least I just haven't been bothered as much. And then, but breakfast is like actually properly done scrambled eggs.
Nice.
And then with bacon. Oh,
nice.
Yeah, it's good. But then, and then the other go-to is like, basically, if I'm going to have like 2 things per day, it's basically going to be one of those things I just described: the salad and the sweet potato with either burgers or steak or fish. And then the other one is my smoothie, which is really simple go-to. It's basically spinach, strawberries, blueberries, banana, peanut butter, oats, chia seeds, and whey protein.
Nice.
And then bam.
Oh, okay.
So
It's a
yeah,
good
so
meal.
I'll change that up as well. So that can be in the sense that more water, I'll just drink it. Less water, I'll just pour it all into a bowl and scoop scoop it out.
Nice.
So yeah, or if I feel like I want it to be warm, then I will do the oats
Yeah.
and
With protein powder.
and cook them up. Yeah, and then when they're finished cooking, I'll
Nice.
put the protein powder in
Yeah,
afterwards.
yum. Good idea.
Yeah, it's really good.
Nice.
Good. Like those staples is like if I got those two things, I am set. Like I know I'm fine for the day.
Yeah.
And
Good idea.
yeah, and then the rest is just a bit filler, bit of extra.
Donut.
Yeah. Well, it's just things could go wrong. I have to.
I know you live near some choice places to go and get good desserts. I have to say,
Yeah,
it's a bit dangerous. If I lived near there, I'd be
it
there
is.
all the time.
I know. I mean, like Mulberry Street Market
I know.
is.
Oh my
Oh
god!
man, it's like Saturdays and Sundays. So
You
that
know,
could
we've just
easily.
spent about an hour and a half talking about food.
Brilliant. That's like one of my favorite things to do.
I know.
Well, talk about it, but I'm just going to go to town now. I'm going to go eat. That's what I'm going to do.
Do it.
In my,
I want. The Maltby brownies. I'm definitely going to go and get one of those one day.
well, the woman there makes a bacon and maple syrup brownie.
Oh my lord! Does she?
And it's,
Is it good?
actually good. And it's good. That bacon in a
again-
brownie. It's
See,
like,
again,
who figured
don't
that
know-
out?
I don't know if I'd go for that because I'd be upset at my choice of brownie if I didn't like it. I'd have to just go for your normal brownie.
Just get all of them then.
Okay.
You could never be upset.
Yeah, just have pieces of all. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
could do that.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Yeah, I'm going to go eat. This is it.
I need to
We're
eat.
done. Okay, hope everybody listening got something out of this episode today, talking about cheat meals and talking about getting enough food for strength training and like other stuff in between as well, just for a bit of fun. Journaling and breath work, of course. God, that feels like that was forever ago.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like we've been talking about food forever.
Yeah. Oh God, I could do that all day. It's like like Captain America. I could do this all day. That's definitely something I could do all day.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's awesome. And thank you very much for tuning in. And find us on Instagram at Evolve, Achieve, Thrive. Tell us what you're thinking about the episode. Subscribe to the show. The more subscribers we get, it really helps us to get the show out there as well. And please leave a rating and review if you're enjoying tuning in, listening, and even watching on YouTube. Then give us a rating, and we'd be really excited to know what you genuinely think about the show. So take it easy, people.
Yeah.
Till next time.